Welcome to Sideline the Baseline with your hosts MB and K Lou, and we got big time DeHaven in the building tonight. Definitely wanted to holler at MB because by the time this time next week we'll be talking about what happened at the draft, right? DeHaven?
Yep.
It's real cool right now watching everybody get all excited about the draft, DeHaven. But when you look at it, I've always been a draft hater. And not because the obvious, no, I didn't get drafted, but that's not why I've been a hater. I've always been a draft hater because I've always started from the GM and the team's perspective. And it's very rare to me that you're able to put a team together through the draft. Like, it has happened. You obviously got all the Dallas Cowboy fans that gonna point that out. You got New York Giant fans that'll point that out. You also have Indianapolis Colts fans that will also point that out. But by and large, and let's say fast forward to this year, the Cincinnati Bengals will point that out. But by and large, how you doing? By and large, when you look at what's going on throughout the NFL, it's really crazy because most teams get it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, you just look at the Super Bowl champions.
And even the teams that I just named, they get it wrong a lot too.
Yeah. No, okay, Lou, I think you're definitely right there. I mean, you just look at the Super Bowl champions. That wasn't a team built through. Well, a couple of their star players were built through the draft, but most of the players they bought in. And I think it's an interesting, as everybody knows, I'm a 49ers fan. And it's an interesting thing with team building because 49ers are like to try to build through the draft as well. And it's looking at, like I said, what the Rams are in that division, looking at what kind of, Buffalo's kind of doing. Of course, it's good to draft that quarterback. You need to find that quarterback, I think, in the draft. But other than that, other skill positions and stuff, I mean, I think in other important positions like D-line, I think you might be able to go through free agency and build a team that way with proven commodities.
Right.
Especially this day. Yeah, go ahead.
And I've always been a proponent of that because I'm like, man, I know this guy can play. I gotta figure out if he can play and wait 2-3 years for him to be that guy. And I forgot Pittsburgh too has always done a tremendous job through the draft. I forgot them.
And it looks like another team that used to do okay during the draft. It looks like they changed philosophy. Has kind of been New England. New England used to, in the early 2000s, they were big proponents of the draft. But lately, since Brady's going and Bill Belichick's, he spent all that money in free agency because I think that is the kind of the route to accelerate the team building. And it seems like, K-Lou, recently I think a lot of teams relied on the draft because of the salary cap.
Right.
But it seems like all they're doing now is just moving money or just guaranteed money around in different years. If you got an Aaron Donald, you're going to have him for the next 7 years anyway. Well, I think it's less need. I'm not going to use the term here. He said, forget those draft picks and not so nice terms. But you're going to have Aaron Donald 7-8 years. You're going to have Matthew Stafford for the next 4. Just move money around and bring in the Allen Robinsons and keep building your team that way.
Right. And I just never see, I've named those organizations that have put it together. But like I said as well, right behind it, how's Pittsburgh doing now? How does New England look right now? Like, and again, we talking about championships, the organizations we're speaking of. So they're not trying to make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like Cincinnati, amazing, off the charts. Guess what? They ain't smelt the playoffs since Ocho Cinco them been there, and then they actually make a Super Bowl run. That ain't happened since Ickett Woods. So yeah, they're excited and beyond, happiness right now. But when you look at those teams, man, I really have never spent a lot of time sitting here debating and talking about drafts, DeHaven, because talk to me about that at the end of the year. Like, how did that pick that you was fighting me about that should have went third and he went second, or vice versa? How did that help your team? Talk to me then about it, DeHaven. Not.
Like I said, because it's got to be one of those impact. I think the best play, there's got to be a quarterback. I mean, I know Matthew Stafford was free agency, not to keep bringing that up, but I think KC has drafted well lately, but they still get free agents to kind of supplement, that at least that defense when they did win. But I definitely agree with you. I'd rather have proven commodities than delayed development of the team 3 or 4 or 5 years, especially when the NFL stands for not for long.
Exactly.
Right?
And I always argue this point. There are always guys that maybe, getting starter minutes, but, like a D lineman that's getting started.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear MB?
Say it again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. He was just it was like K-Lou froze, but he was just saying how he didn't agree. Like the draft is just kind of overrated, and building teams to the draft is not as successful as maybe getting free agents and building a team that way. Just do, and I said it depends on like if you get a quarterback in the draft, but other than K-Lou's back now, he can.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you froze. I was just telling MB your philosophy on. The draft is kind of overrated to you.
Oh, yeah. And MB knows this every year. Like, I got to go through this. Like, I don't want to talk about it.
It all depends on the team and what you're doing, because it depends on the team. You look at like Baltimore Ravens, right? With Ozzie Newsome when he was there, mm-hmm. They built on the draft. And they packaged around key free agents, Seattle, they did it with they was just talking about Russell Wilson and.
But I think if we look at sustained runs, you know what I'm saying, DeHaven, sustained runs. You think about San Francisco that did it partially draft. And then kept free agents in there, under George Seifert, that crew. That's when I was a fan back in them days. And you'd always see a dude, not of Deion status, who, did come over there, but you see a dude, a lesser dude, but the same kind of impact for them based upon they already had a nucleus and core group. Now you got guys making plays from other teams that they done brought over there. It was always scary. So what happened in San Francisco? Every year it was like San Francisco and who else?
And Dallas did the same thing when they brought like Haley over, or they bought so they bought Deion. Deion went from San Francisco 1 year as a free agent. They won, and then he went to Dallas, and then they won.
Right.
What point did Caleb make about San Francisco and Dallas?
That's how they used to always have a nucleus of drafted players. Jerry Rice, Joe Montana. Steve Young wasn't drafted by them though, but then they'd bring in somebody and be like a Ken Norton. Obviously Deion, like even like somebody lesser like a Ken Norton to come in and kind of get them over the top.
Right. Yeah, their foundation. It's a balance. Their foundation was the draft, and then they get key free agents to pull them over top. Is that what you're saying, Caleb?
Absolutely, but that free agent piece is so important, and it just feels like teams will load themselves up with draft picks, and I'm like, to me, you just gonna be bad for a long time. That's all you telling me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It all depends on who's controlling that draft pick. You know what I'm saying? Who making the choices? Because some people, they have a lot of draft picks and they don't do nothing with it. But then some people, like I mentioned about Ozzie Newsome, Jimmy Johnson. I think you mentioned San Fran. They know what to do with those picks, and they was gonna, with Ozzie, you just knew like majority of the time he's gonna draft a baller. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he ain't get caught up in the hype about what they run and this and that. He just want to know, can they play ball? So some teams just they know what to do with them, and so then now, the draft is their foundation, and they get key free agency to help him get him over the top to build a balanced team. You know, Belichick was doing that, but now he kind of fell off a little bit. But certainly, like Tampa did it.
Yeah,
you know,
Tampa
you think
did
about
it.
Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and those guys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you look at teams that won. It definitely they got a good foundation with their draft picks now, as opposed to homegrown talent, as opposed to just doing all free agency. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I think the key is in the draft. If you miss in that top 10, it just sets you back.
Yeah, no
It
doubt.
sets you back along. If you miss it in that top 10, you'll be drafted in the top 10 next year. It just really kind of, sets your franchise back if you whiff on those, if you got an early pick and you whiff. Or if you traded some picks and you got, like the Jets, for example, got the 3 and the 10. And they're talking about, to K. Lou's point, getting rid of the 10 for Debo, a proven commodity. And maybe that would be a good move for them instead of, trying to take a 3 and a 10 and say that doesn't work out for them. Then they're set, they're set back and they get one of the best offensive weapons in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What you don't do is give up proven talent. Like you fight for that. Like I've never understood people moving up for a sure pick. Like, how do you know? Trevor Lawrence been picked as a sure pick, since he was in high school, feel like. And, I know he had a terrible situation happen to him in Jacksonville. But, I mean, listen, we about results. And right now it ain't looking the greatest because the results is they had a terrible season. Now, again, I know that's not just him. And it might have been a bad, example. But moving forward, the light's never going to come off of him. And average ain't going to be good enough. You know what I mean? No.
I mean, you think of surefire, you think of like a Peyton Manning, that was surefire, or Andrew Luck.
No, but you got to remember, Ryan Leaf was surer than Peyton.
That's true.
There were a lot of teams.
I would have taken Ryan Leaf over Peyton.
Right. Like, and then
with the eye test.
Blaine Gabbert, when it came to him and Cam, like it was a lot of people saying I like him better. Like that I mean, it's crazy to me. And obviously we get to play 10 years later quarterback. Right. But I'm just saying at the time, if you'll give me, a proven Debo, I'm gonna give you my quarterback pick. And I'm gonna go get a second-rate guy like Tannehill and let him quarterback for me with Debo. Like I would rather do that instead of waiting on Trevor to learn it. You don't have that time like with the Giants with us. MB, they drafted Eli and already had a full deck. Amani at receiver, Tiki in the backfield, Jeremy Shockey at tight end, and they had to wait for him. Like what if Kurt Warner there at the same time? Hurt?
Wasn't Kurt Warner there at the same time?
Yeah, Kurt was there, but then
but then he resurrected his career in Arizona, right? Which was after that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He left the Giants to go to Arizona.
And then resurrected his career. Yeah. Then they tried to draft Leinart over him, and then because they wanted Eli to develop, right?
Right. But all I'm saying is you don't have that time all the time. And luckily the Giants were fortunate because they got a lot better on defense during that time. And, he slowly developed and just kept getting better. And the guys around him didn't fall to injuries, can also happen. It just worked out where they were still able to allow him to mature and get better and catch up with everybody else. But that was a team ready to win. And as a matter of fact, we had started out, I want to believe like 2-0, but then we dropped 2 games in a row and they made the switch with Kurt because you asked about Kurt.
Yeah.
They made the switch then, and then we lost probably 10 straight, something crazy.
You guys ended up 5-11 that year, right? Something like that.
I don't think we won 5 games, but maybe that'll make me feel better about it. But we lost a lot of games.
So Kaylee, you say you've been better off sticking with Kurt?
Absolutely. Like, okay, let's remember what happened. He then the next year went on to the Super Bowl with the Arizona Cardinals. Just so we just talk about it.
Yeah, he did. But that was 06. He went to the Super. No, he went to Super Bowl 08.
Or 2 years later.
It was 2 years, 3 years
Yeah,
later. Yeah,
2
because
years
they
later.
tried. Arizona tried to do the same thing with Matt Leinart,
Right.
and then Kurt Warner ended up beating him out. They tried to. They actually started Matt Leinart, and then Kurt Warner beat him out,
Right.
and it took him to the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Right.
Right. So yeah, so it still worked out, but I'm just saying, like, you know, there's a lot more times where a guy gets disgruntled, goes away. A guy gets 2 or 3 guys get hurt. You know, now you don't have those weapons. Like, you know, hey, what, Tiki play another 4 or 5 years and then retire? You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff happens. But yeah, so when you have that talent like that, or you have guys ready to play, or you can get a guy that's ready to play, I'm all for that. It's just hard for me to wait and to be guessing. And you know, like, you even look at sad situations where, you know, they lose a guy that's a promising guy in Oakland outside off the field issues. You know what I mean? And that's a wait. Listen, at the end of the day, that's a wasted first round pick when you're looking at it from the team's perspective. Like, that's obviously a life on that side, and a whole lot need to be prayed for, and counseling and all that kind of stuff on the other side. But you know, you put a lot of value, stock, and all that in him, and now you get nothing out of it, and you right back where you started. You know, I'm just like, hey man, let me get some proven guys that I know gonna stay out of trouble, that I know go show up to work, be professional, and I'm going with that. I'll be, hey, call me the Lakers. I'll be
so
the
you believe
league.
Believe in the Miami. You believe Miami's gonna be good this year, then, don't you? Because they're basically doing that philosophy.
Absolutely.
Giving up draft picks for Tyreek and
the only
Aaron
problem.
Armstead.
The only problem is who's backing up Tua. That got to be a guy that can play for real.
And I saw him at the pool on Fort Lauderdale on Saturday. I'm like, shouldn't you be practicing?
Yeah, but that's
Bridgewater, Teddy.
You didn't tell me though who's the quarterback who's backing
Bridgewater.
up.
Bridgewater.
That's excellent then. Like, I'm for that, because the first time he mess up, hey, he out of there. And then you got a guy that can make, you know, he ain't gonna make terrific throws, but he can make the right throws. And I talk about that all the time, about guys making the right throws, or the quarterbacks that sit in the league for 15, 20 years and backing up people and still getting the opportunity to start here and there, are the guys that make the right throw. Not the guys that make the great throws. The great throws are few and far between.
Yeah, the question is, how far will they go with Teddy Bridgewater, though, if Tua doesn't work out?
Right.
They've got all this talent around him.
Right.
Well, I think that's what we're looking for. Even with Tua's situation, you're looking for the talent around him to take them far. So I don't know why you say you change it from him to Teddy Bridgewater. Like, now all of a sudden he got to do it. We ain't expecting Tua to do it either. We expected Tua to be smart enough to say, hey, he can get it done, and he can get it done. Let me get it to these guys that can get it done.
Sort of like
Alabama.
Alabama.
Right. That's a great point.
But teams that have done that, like with a quarterback like that, they've always had, you know, not to bring this up, but like the Ravens 2000, like we did it with Trent Dilfer, but they had a mean defense.
Right.
You know, the quarterback was, I mean, teams that done it with a quarterback like a Tua or a Bridgewater, they've always had this dominant defenses or something like that. It's been rare that I've seen.
No, but they also weren't that talented on offense either. So
that's true.
The teams I'm thinking about, if they were dominant on defense, they weren't, you know, had like game breakers on offense either. Like that's why they had to be tough on defense.
Who's the last team that won it like that? Well, you say the Ravens, and besides Seattle, because Seattle won it when Russell was like a second-year player or something like that. He wasn't what he was now.
Right.
And then you had Baltimore before that, the year before that, because they beat San Fran and they won it with. But Flacco still played good in that game. I mean, Flacco he wasn't a bad quarterback.
Because you had what's my man, Antoine Bolden at receiver.
Antoine Bolden, yeah. You had
And then you had was Heap at tight end then? You had some
I think you had
some points.
Yeah, Todd
Right.
Heap, and you had Ray Rice at the running back position. He
Right.
wasn't bad before his incident.
But you have to think long for a team to have. I mean, you need a quarterback-driven league. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, the Ravens is probably, if I'm trying to think, probably one of the last teams that won it without a dominating quarterback. You know.
Yeah. And
I mean, truth be told, yeah. So, I mean,
Ben wasn't dominant when they won their second year. I mean, that first year, Ben wasn't dominant. 05 when the Steelers won, they beat Seattle. Ben was still young. He wasn't as dominant. You know, I wouldn't consider him a dominant quarterback.
But it wasn't their running game that won him because Bus was on the down end.
It was Bus. Willie Parker scored a touchdown. Then I think Antoine Randall L threw a touchdown in that game.
Yeah, so
like Ben didn't even have a touchdown.
They was more of a balanced team. He wasn't a liability. He wasn't
I get it there.
He wasn't like Jimmy G this past year. He wasn't a liability. You know.
Well, they didn't win, so that don't count.
Well, I'm just saying though, they was winning despite of him. You know. So
yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. He wasn't a liability.
Jared Goff, then he led the Rams because he wasn't a dominating quarterback, but they had enough around him, you know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, he only scored 3 points in the Super Bowl.
But that offense that the Ravens had, all they had was Shannon Sharp and Jamal Lewis.
Yeah.
They had to run.
Brandon Stokely was all right.
And they different. He just managed it, you know.
Oh yeah, he's definitely that's the.
But what about this San Francisco, man? We talking about, are they going to trade Debo?
I would hate to say it, but I think you're going to have to. He's so disgruntled. We have his rights for 2 more years, the 4th-year option, and you can potentially got the franchise tag. But there's something else underneath the surface there. I'm hearing I follow the blogs a lot on San Francisco. I'm hearing that they really lowballed him on the first offer. I heard that he was mad about his usage. He didn't like getting hit like that as a running back. I heard that he doesn't like living in California because the taxes are high and the gas is high. I mean, I'm hearing all sorts of things. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation, but I almost think that we don't have a first-round pick for the next 2 years. I'd hate to do it, but if we can get a haul if we get that number 10 from the Jets, maybe a second rounder, I would, a second rounder and some picks next year. I think we could kind of recruit what we got from Trey Lance. But the scary thing is we don't know what we have in Trey Lance. Like what did you guys say last week? They could trade Tyreek Hill because they have Mahomes. He's going to make people better. We don't know what we have in Trey Lance and if he's going to make players better. And Brandon Ayuk, as much as I think he's an up-and-coming receiver, he's not a number 1 receiver. Right. So
why are we thinking more – and I noticed that about the NFL, and again, NBA thinks differently, seems like a lot of times. Why aren't they thinking Debo, for another receiver, for a Jamar Chase? And I'm not saying that Cincinnati would even entertain that, but I'm still saying, like, why aren't they thinking that instead of thinking,
draft picks
all the time? Because again, to me, when you think like that, you hitting the reset button.
Oh, I definitely agree. I mean, it'd be the worst offseason that I've seen us have since all those guys, Patrick Willis and all those guys retired in 14. And I mean, that's what it's starting to look like. It's starting to look like a terrible offseason. I think that's something they should look at because especially you have Trey Lance, you don't want to trade away his best weapon. I mean, what does that do to his development? So why not look at if you're willing to pay Debo? That's the thing we don't know, K-Lou. If they're willing to pay Debo, then I think A.J. Brown is disgruntled. I mean, would you trade him for A.J. Brown and just give the money to A.J. Brown? So I'm still a little unsure, what's going on. If it's, I think they want to pay Debo. But I would look at it. I mean, I think getting an established player would be good. I think it'd be good. But I don't know if they're thinking like that. And I don't know if it's a thing where they can only think they can pay. Rumors were they can only pay Bosa and not Debo because they never traded Jimmy G, so there's no money there. I mean, who knows? It's just a bad offseason right now. But for some reason, he's not happy.
Right. It's crazy to think that a guy that's that important to what you do team-wise and offensively that he's not the one guy because it seems like Jimmy G is fired every week. You know what I'm saying? And then you bring in a first round pick behind him. But yet the one constant on your offense has a problem with anything, you should make sure he has a problem with nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's supposed to be around there like a king.
But Kalu, to the flip side, I mean, I get his point. I mean, if it's, for example, if the issue is usage, I'm sure he thinks he's a wide receiver. He doesn't want to go across the middle, but he got those 1,700 yards because he ran for, he got the ball. He rushed for, he got the ball 100 times rushing. Right.
Well, but see, I don't think it's that. I think like in the NBA. Remember, everybody started bragging about Mark Cuban and how he treated his players, and guys that never even thought about Dallas all of a sudden thought of that as a destination. I'm saying, like, how is he treated around here? Like, I would be more concerned. I guarantee you, because remember, the receivers haven't changed. They still prima donnas. So does he feel like that? Or are you trying to be everybody is the same around here? He ain't the same. Like, he get to do things y'all don't get to do.
it might come down to like Kyle Shanahan's attitude. I mean, maybe Kyle Shanahan thinks he's the star.
Right.
Maybe Shanahan thinks I'm the star. I can put anybody in here, draft me a Treylon Burks or something like that. He could do the same thing.
Maybe when he moves away, when this is all said and done, he gives that interview, where he relaxed and chilling. I guarantee you it's going to boil down to, more so how he felt, not all the important stuff about how many balls he was throwing, because everybody in the league know he is their offense, so that's not an issue. Like, you saying maybe usage is a problem, well, he's one of the, top 5 receivers in the game. So regardless of what it is, it's still making him top 5. So you see what I'm saying?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you top 5 receivers. I mean, he's running, if he's running up the middle, is that going to, you run a hand on the ball, he's running between the tackles. Is that going to, if you Debo, aren't you going to be like, hey?
But that's something he's wanting to do. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. Listen, we are out of that realm where guys have to do stuff anymore. That ship doesn't sail.
He's positionless. I mean,
but I'm saying that ship has sailed where you can tell a guy to go do this and he do it if he don't want to. Just trust me.
I don't know. I mean,
if I'm in Debo's shoes,
it goes all the way back to Pac Jam. Last year when Pac was saying, hey, listen, we're in a new era. Guys at every position are making demands, and you either go with it or they gonna put their foot down and you're gonna have to get rid of it. And so what I'm saying is DeHaven's feeling like the way he's being used, running the ball between, at running back and going up through the middle, catching balls. And I'm saying to DeHaven, if he didn't want to do that, he wouldn't be doing it. Like, we're not
saying it now.
We're not.
He's like, I don't want to do that.
Because look what just happened. Look what just happened. He said, hey, it's time for me to check out. And what's happening? There's talks being done behind the scenes to try to get this done on the front side with him, obviously trying to talk him off the ledge. But the background, they've watched this movie before. We continue to see guys make demands and it's going their way. Only person seemed like ain't putting their foot down is Aaron Rodgers. And I think that's because he really don't want to. I think he's trying to force their hand, and that's his threat. Or I'll leave.
I mean, then if that's the case, then it's about money, right? I mean, is Debo worth a $25 million a year or $26 million a year player? If that's the case,
whatever the top receiver is, because again, when it comes to that, you really want to have an MVP type of conversation. And what his value to that team is probably more valuable than anybody except for Mahomes. like
don't forget that
first or second, you can argue tit for tat with those guys, with what their value to their team is. So yes, to San Francisco, he's a quarterback. No, I'm just saying to San Francisco, like to another program. Maybe
did he be signed, Caleb?
No, but I'm saying they're hard lines saying that's not the case, and that's why he want to be out. He wants significantly, I guarantee you, more than every receiver, and he can demand it because every receiver ain't doing what he's doing for them.
With 1 year, he's only had 1 year of production though. Who
cares? Hey, look,
he's only said the 1,700 yards only came with one season.
MB told me all the time, man. Hey, it's about potential. That's what MB told me.
Yeah, right.
Like Tyreek's been into the Pro Bowl the past how many years?
Again,
Devontae Adams been to the Pro Bowl.
Talk to him. Let him know what they paying for.
Stephon Diggs, 1,000-yard receiver for the last 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Those are all the guys that got paid. Like the guys that want to get paid, AJ Brown, Metcalf, and Debo, they don't have the track records. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't pay them.
What it's about. And I had to hear this, and I bought in.
You say what?
I had to hear you say it, and I bought in because you keep watching it. It ain't like he making it up and then you don't see it.
Nah, and it's timing as well. I mean, you talk about those guys. I mean, what have you done for me lately? Those guys now, like his timing. What's name just got paid is one up, trying to pay it, trying to get dudes paid. So it's the timing as well. I understand what you said, David, as far as the production, guys doing it long, but I mean, it's just the timing of it. When the time, it one hit wonder, whatever it may be, it's just the timing of it. He's getting done. But I don't think he's a one hit wonder. But just his body of work and just the timing of it, man. Like right now, I mean, who would have think the timing of it that Deshaun Watson, based on the production he had, but all the stuff he had, now he became the first quarterback or first player to have a fully 5-year guaranteed contract. You based on the circuit, it's just the timing of it. Even though I mean, obviously he's got production as well, but just the timing of it. But I think with Debo, man, just what he's shown last year, it's a combination of things. I mean that dude, he was their MVP.
Yeah.
Offense, he was their whole identity. Like, especially the way Jimmy G played at sometimes, it even magnified what Debo did because
he could take a screen and go 50.
Exactly. He was their baller. He was like Percy Harvin, the early Percy Harvin at Florida mixed with whatever the top receiver is. He just get it done, So I don't.
That's the mistake. The mistake was they should have paid Trey Lance to see what they really had. I think than last year. I think they could have just played Trey Lance to see what they really had in him, and that could determine, the receiver's worth this year or what you need around him. You just don't know how good Trey Lance is.
See, yeah, and that's true. But I think also that the catch-22 is it's like with Debo, is he going to do the same stuff as somewhere else? Because Shanahan, obviously he wants him, but also he plays a role in because he's like, man, nobody else going to use you can use you the way that I can use you. So
the place would be the Jets.
Huh?
They run that system. LaFleur's little brother is the offensive coordinator of the Jets.
So
Daniel, Miami don't have his capital.
But Shanahan also be like, man, I'm Shanahan. I know how to call a game. I know when to call it. So it can also be like that as well to some degree. So then that's probably why they give him the low ball offers. But if they know what I know, they better pay that man.
Well, NBA is fantastic. I had a throwback moment.
Don't talk about the NBA.
And we'll get away from your people and start right where
Thank you.
It's pressure time. The Phoenix Suns defending Western Conference champs. The Phoenix Suns who swept my Lakers. Struggle City with New Orleans, a two-headed monster. Now, granted, let's face it, they down a babyface assassin.
Right.
Oh yeah.
he has a hamstring, and they talking 2 to 3 weeks. And MB and I will be the first to tell you that don't mean nothing, because he'll get right back on there and make one little move and be back down for 2 weeks. Their hamstrings are unpredictable.
Right.
So Devin Booker, obviously is a huge piece of what they do. Chris Paul having to pull a lot more weight than he's used to pulling, which again puts him at injury risk now. Because he's a guy that's gotten hurt, seemed like every playoff. You don't want to see his load just continue to rise, but he's having to take on the responsibility of helping score more points. I think Cam Johnson has to do way more. Offensively. He's always good on defense, but he has to do way more offensively. And DeAndre can't be a guy anymore where he's sliding in and we saying he dominant, but really everybody worried about Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and he just getting scraps and being able to eat off of them. Now he got to dominate for real, because they said he dominated the Lakers. Well, how you ain't dominating somebody with nobody, on defense?
Yeah, and he ain't wants to get paid. And DeAndre ain't trying to get. If he's trying to get paid, he better show out right now.
Right. No, he's got you. Definitely. I mean, with Booker being hurt, man, you're right. Somebody got to take up the slack, and obviously it's not one guy, especially with the Pelicans. I mean, they scrappy. They got those no-name dudes that's able to get in Chris Paul's face, and they scrappy. So it's a great matchup, and also the coach understands Phoenix scheme because he was part of it as well. Because Monty was the coach at New Orleans and he played for Monty and stuff like that. So he is one of those perfect storms, But man, they need some more production, man. Just the fact when you talk about injuries with Booker being out, man, that's a big part of their scoring on offense that's now just gone, and it's hard to duplicate it. And one guy can't duplicate it, like you said. Many guys got to step up. Crowder got to step up and start hitting some threes and do what he do. Bridges got to do it. Like Cam, it's got to be a team effort. They got to get this thing done. And obviously, Chris Paul got to, he can't disappear in the fourth period. He's got to take over like he did the first 2 games in the fourth period. But it's tough, man. But New Orleans,
look, like.
It's a perfect.
You said they know names, MB. One of them we know his name. He's an all-star. Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram.
Oh yeah, y'all traded. Who the Lakers traded?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll trade him 2 more times. I am pleased with what we did.
Y'all could have got that deal done.
Here's the problem: Brandon couldn't have been this player there.
But y'all could have got that same deal done with Kuzma and threw Kuzma in that deal instead of Brandon.
He couldn't have been the same player that he is there. Like, that's a whole nother conversation. But this is what I'm gonna tell you. This is why I'm upset with DeAndre Ayton. Valanciunas 26, bro. Really? Valanciunas 26. You hit 23. You -3 with your guy. And you supposed to be this dominant guy that they told me about all season, all playoff run last year. What name? Devin Booker killing people out there. Chris Paul out there doing what Chris Paul do. And who did everybody keep talking about? DeAndre Ayton. So what? Where are you, DeAndre? Like, this series should have been over if you did your job on defense. You supposed to be a true rim protector. That's what they told us. There ain't nobody just gonna come down there doing anything. Well, Valanciunas is a player. He's a good player, but he's not you. And for the fact that he's being allowed to do that speaks volumes. So I think if DeAndre Ayton don't step up, they're gonna lose this series. And that's crazy to me. Even with the other guys that they got, they shouldn't be struggling with them. But you got to get a DeAndre Ayton to commit on both sides of the floor and say he ain't having it.
No, you definitely do. And like you said, if he doesn't, I mean, they out of there. But like I said, New Orleans, since they made that trade for McCollum, that was a good trade. They got a nice squad. They got a nice squad, and like you said, they play hungry.
And we got they got a Zion's not even out there.
Added on the wall.
I was about to call out Zion's name, but here's the cool part. If I'm them, I'm trying to move Zion.
Really?
Oh, yeah. With chemistry, listen, he's not committed. He's
not committed to the market.
Okay, what's wrong with him? So if you then bring a guy like that into a great chemistry that you have right now, you kill that whole thing. They go back in the tank. Guys want to get out of there because you still gonna baby him. Like you've shown him he can be babied for 2 years. He get to play part-time, and this year, no time. Now guess what? You bring him on them to how hard they playing, and you around here babysitting him, and hey, we're only going to play him 10 minutes a game, and we're going to work him up to 15 and 20. That ain't going to fly with them guys, man. It's not going to work.
It depends on what package they can get for him.
Yeah, exactly.
I think his value is still through the roof because what the short films we're getting of him, he's dominant. So I think you use that to your advantage and get somebody that can really take you to the next level and picks.
So
that's
when
you
say from a chemistry
WeK,
standpoint, talking about because his personality from a chemistry standpoint, you don't think he fit? Because from an athletic standpoint, he fits with them, you know?
No, it's the organization and how they're babying him. It won't have anything to do with Zion and his personality. I think he actually has shown where guys want to go hard around him because he goes hard. But the problem is how hard, how often you gonna go hard. It's that Kawhi Leonard effect. Like how often you gonna go hard. We know you're gonna go hard when you're out here. But can we depend on, like, my knee hurt and my calf hurt after this this back-to-back, and then we got 1 day off and you already off. Hey, Zion ain't playing tomorrow. That stuff get to you. It might not get to you the first 10 games or the first 20, but after then, when them injuries start and guys are fighting through pain to play, and this joker got the same injury on the sheet, sore knee, and yours so too, MB, you already know.
Man, but K-Lou, that's your boy from Duke. He ain't point shaving like that. I thought he got some legitimate injuries, no?
He do.
What's wrong with him?
What is foot? 1 year, right?
It was foot. Yeah, he was heavy.
Duncan. They got him windmilling. Windmilling. You out here with me, baby.
Somebody said he's not committed. He never wanted to be in a small market like that, though.
Right, I heard that. And then JJ called him out as far as his personality. But as far as injury-wise, I don't know. I didn't hear any. I didn't think he was stealing. I didn't think he was point shaving. I thought it was legitimate. I don't know.
MB,
I heard
they got him windmilling and 360 before the game. What's wrong with you?
I don't know what. That's what I'm saying. In his foot or something.
MB, what's wrong?
But K-Lou, he did say he could play. But
his injury.
But K-Lou, he said he could play.
Windmill, I want what he got.
He said he could play. He said it's the organization that won't let him play. He said he wanted to play.
You hear me, DeHaven? I want what he got. If you windmill in the 360 with that injury.
Yeah. He said he wanted to play. The organization won't let him play.
Hey, this is a good idea. Send him the Pat. Send him the Pat. Hey, he gonna play then. Hey,
Pat to get the most out of him.
Oh, he gonna play. Or he gonna be gone again. Jimmy Butler gonna raise up on him. So let's move on. And speaking of Miami and Atlanta, Atlanta had a hard fight, and I think that's one of the games.
Before you jump there, I was thinking about this, right? Who you think gonna survive the first round? Is the Nets or the Suns?
My money on the Nets.
No,
I'm still fighting, man. I'm gonna tell you though what's wrong with them. And I said this when Golden State made their run. I wasn't concerned with that team, meaning like I said it wouldn't work unless one thing happened. And I said it back then when it first happened. I said Kevin Durant has to commit where? On defense. He's doing way too much standing around on defense. And he has to commit on defense. He has to be partially the rim protector they don't have. He has to challenge shots at the rim when he's helping. He's coming off and watching guys dunk and do layups, not even challenging them. Like, and that's what gets you beat. Them runs, that kind of momentum, he has to step up on defense. So don't look at, him and Kyrie going 16 and 17 points or 15, 16 points. Don't look at that. Look on the other side. Look on the other side for him. And if he doesn't buckle down on defense, this one a wrap. And it might be a wrap anyway. But
I look at
that's my fight.
I definitely. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I definitely look at the points. They have to outplay Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and they're not doing it. They're not outscoring those guys. They shot their load in game one. That was a game they had to steal. I think ever since that game, and KD is just not shooting well. He's not shooting well. They're physical with him, and he just hasn't. He's had a lot of turnovers. He's not cracking it. He's the best scorer that we've seen in the last 10 years, and he's not doing what he's great at. He's not scoring like he should be scoring.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. They got to score. I mean, defense, you're right. He's got to play some type of defense, but the bread and butter is their offense. They're scoring. And, it's
but nobody else.
Kansas City Chiefs, they defense is like poor, but they put up so much points offense that they get away with it. And with them, it's a classic, man. Great defense.
But that's just from them two. That's not a three-headed monster over there where they're getting major points off of. So what y'all saying? They got to go for 40 and 50 every night. They got to make up for the other guys.
They do. They do.
They weren't doing that together. When Kyrie was going for 50, Durant was hitting 20-ish. It wasn't a 40-point game. That's all I'm saying. So yes, they need to score better. They need to score more. But they got to stop them from doing it.
Brown gave him 27 the other night. He was just even score the other night. Bruce Brown?
Right. Yeah, they got to.
They need to score. They got to outscore Jalen and Jason Tatum. And
Jason Tatum, yeah. All right.
Outcoached.
Philly and Toronto, man. They the only one acting like a juggernaut right now, I feel.
Who's that?
Philly and Toronto.
Oh, yeah. Philly came ready to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch the thumb, though. See where that take, how what happens the rest of the series with that. But they'll win that series. I'm concerned about the next round.
And I'll mix both of these games in Atlanta and Miami. I think both Toronto and Atlanta basically are like, we ain't going out like this. You know what I'm saying? That kind of attitude. We gonna get us one.
They got their one now, so that's it.
Yeah.
It's over with.
Hey, my boy Lou say if Zion really wanted to play, he would be out there with his teammates. You're right, K. Lou. He can't be out there windmilling and then sit down.
Well, I keep telling y'all, he said he wanted to play. He told the organization he wanted to play, and they won't let him. That's what he said. His camp said. He said his camp. Zion said, "Look, they won't let me play. I'm ready to play." That's why he did the videos to show y'all he windmilling.
What? So what advantage do they? That to me sound like they may be trying to move him. Then if they won't play him, because they might be scared. MB, what would be the excuse of not playing him if he's healthy? We want to make sure he stay healthy so he don't so we can move him.
Yeah, that could be a possibility, but man, I'm trying. What, he fractured his foot? Is that what he hurt?
I think
MB, yes,
injury. Yeah.
Yes, MB, but he windmilling now.
His can't put that out there.
So let's get past that. I don't care what he had: shoulder, pinky, hip.
Man,
windmilling and 360.
Hey, he can windmill off 1 foot. He's so explosive.
He's a 2-foot jumper, though.
Huh?
He's a 2-foot jumper.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying he can windmill off 1 foot. That joke so
That's true.
It might be something behind the scenes because he came in. Didn't he come in really overweight?
And by the film still is.
Yeah.
I thought he slimmed down a little bit, but I heard early in the year he looked like
well, they had those pictures. They had those pictures of him, and he was pretty. He was he was a biggin. Milwaukee and Chicago. Milwaukee doing their thing. I still don't like the way they look though. So I'm not looking for them to be a repeat. Like I said, I like Miami chances against them. I don't think they make it out of the next round, actually.
Well,
the way Boston can continue to play like that, or the Nets come. Yeah. I think they done.
Yeah, Grayson Allen's not going to give you 27 every night.
Right. He stepped up. So that was big. I was surprised. I was surprised about that.
Never seen him play like this. He stopped tripping people. Now he wants to.
Oh, there you go. Let him live. Hey, look, Memphis and Minnesota.
That's the best.
That's talking about must-see TV, but it shouldn't be must-see a 2 versus a 7. I'm still upset with Memphis. Were they just a regular season team? You supposed to run through 2 and 7. Look at Boston and Brooklyn.
Don't bring up Brooklyn.
I'm just playing.
Hey, Minnesota, I mean, they're number 1 offense in the NBA, and it's about styles and matchups. You're right.
Yeah.
But man, I was like, man, that's a series. We called out when we knew when the first game we saw. I was like, man, but you're right though. Especially with Memphis, everything they shown, in the regular season, especially when what's the name was out for like 20 games.
Yeah.
But this is the playoff. Even we talk about playoff, you take it to another level.
Yeah. And
this is where we're saying Morant, he needs to step up and take over, take it to another level. And he showed some flashes and stuff like that, but still, I mean, I think the one game they won, he had a quiet triple-double. But this Minnesota team that's another one. They're doing what we thought Brooklyn was gonna do,
Right.
Backdoor they way into it and explode, huh?
Right.
No, I agree with you. Desmond Bain shouldn't be your leading scorer with 35 points the other night.
Right.
Hey man, that joker's stroking it. He's one of them 3-and-D guys that showed y'all, hey man, I can do more. And he's doing more.
He did. And I like about Minnesota is I like their tenacity because like I said, Pat Beverly brings another character to them, and they can score in multiple ways. They can score from 4 spots on the floor. You know what I mean?
Missed this AA say Zion 2 McRibs under 4.
He lost some weight. He got to be about 320.
Golden State and Denver, man. Denver again tried to fight. Say again, we ain't going out like this. You like teams that do that, man.
Yeah.
You like them to say, hey man, you ain't gonna pull out no broom on us, man. We gonna go home. We gonna go fishing, but we ain't gonna go 4-0.
Right. They got one. That's about all they're gonna get.
Yeah, they need the players back next year.
So this is what I've been watching too, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen a lot of Jonathan Kuminga in this game. Like they done shortened up their rotation, and I thought he had done enough during the regular season.
Yeah, I thought Kuminga could be playing more. Who's he bringing in? Otto Porter off the bench now?
Right.
Throwing the ball away at the end of the game. Yeah, I'd rather go with the younger player. Kuminga, I think he can score a little bit better, and Otto Porter's best days are behind him.
And defensively, he's a lot like Gary Payton Jr.
Yeah.
He's a lot like him. He go erase you off the glass and all that. He's really a great defender, and he's a freak. Man, they stole that. I didn't know they were stealing like that. Kuminga is listen. Kuminga's gonna make some folks expendable over there. I'm telling you. I did not anticipate that.
You like him like that, Caleb?
Oh man, he freakishly talented, man. He can do it all, but he's super athletic on top of that. It's almost he got a feel of if Sean Kemp could shoot the 3. Now you watch.
Kuminga play the 3?
Huh?
Does Kuminga play the 3 or the 4?
In everything because he's freakish.
They can get rid of Andrew Wiggins since he got his All-Star game. He done sat down the rest of
Andrew Wiggins being Andrew Wiggins, he gonna average 18 to 22. That's what he gonna do. He's done it for a career, and he's doing it there. Like,
but he's
y'all
been missing.
He made his first All-Star.
Yeah, he made his first All-Star. K-Lou and B. He been missing the last. His All-Star. Well, Clay came back though. That's right. Clay came.
Well, and that's what it is. Clay came back and Steph came back, basically, to some degree.
Right.
And Draymond. So
yeah, Draymond played better too.
Yeah, all those guys have been hurt. So then now at some point, now he's shifted, and then now Poole stepped up in the playoffs,
So yeah, he's been relegated.
But one of the things about him, though, what why they're not going to have a problem with him unless they allow him to unless they allow they just say, hey, we're paying you too much, and they move him. He's okay being a second, third, fourth fiddle. Like, he's okay with that. He's not going to get upset with his touches or nothing like that. And he's going to come with the same attitude every game and give you the same energy every game. We've just always looked for more out of him, and he ain't giving us more.
Well, he was the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah. Hey, that was their fault. He didn't pick himself.
No, I'm saying that's why you're looking for more.
Yeah,
right. One pick in the draft.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen. He's never shown that, and as a matter of fact, Jimmy Butler told us he ain't gonna do it. That's why they got Jim out of there, man. You finna run the whole team off, man. So, yeah, and Freddie B, my homeboy say Poole stepped up. Poole is amazing, man. Poole done made himself some money, just not there.
Yeah, they
I hate to say it.
They payroll is deep.
But somebody else gonna pay him, and I'm glad he gonna make his money. Like I say, it's just not there.
Yeah.
Lou say Wiggins is not an alpha. He is Mr. Consistent. He's satisfied with doing what he does. Absolutely, Lou. That's why we homeboys. We think alike. Like that's and he's okay with it. Like you.
I guess I'll be okay if I'll be okay if I had a $148 million contract too and just be satisfied being Mr.
Yeah.
Again, and get what? He ain't pay himself.
Yeah. Hey guys, I gotta go. I gotta go get my son right quick.
Okay, MB.
Appreciate y'all, man.
All right.
I'll take care.
So, and then the last game, DeHaven and we'll go. Dallas and Utah. Like, I ain't gonna even kid with you. I ain't watched none of these series. Ain't no reason. I'm not. I hadn't been a fan because Luka been hurt for the longest. So why I'm gonna watch Dallas and then who's ever watched Utah?
Yeah, I used to hate them when they had Stockton and Malone.
I ain't watching them then.
And then
he was skinning them with the Lake Show.
Well, Shaq beating up Greg Ostertag.
Right, yeah, when he punched him, gave him that's a star.
Yeah, I like Dallas. Luka is back. I think Donovan Mitchell has to show me more. I think he's kind of like a volume shooter a little bit. I'm starting to see in this series. So it's an interesting series. I thought Utah should have jumped on them when they didn't have Luka. They didn't. Now they're in a dogfight. I think if Utah gets bounced first round, I think that's the last we'll see of them, K-Lou. I think some of those guys will be on the market.
Right. And it's interesting that everybody say now that Donovan Mitchell and the center, can't think
Gobert.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert don't have, a great relationship. I was like, I told y'all he supposed to swing on him when he gave him COVID. I told y'all that. It's nowhere in the world you gonna be touching mics and kissing mics and doing all that. Come in there and give me a hug, and I go out like that. I'm gonna have a problem with you
for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So y'all talking about all this happened in this year on the floor. No, that happened when he gave him COVID.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
that friendship ended immediately.
Yeah. They I think they blow that up. if they don't get out this first round.
Boy, Double A done show dated itself, but this is my dog.
That leave.
That one hand runner he used to have, deadly. But I didn't watch Fat Lever at Utah. I watched him at Denver.
Yeah, he was at Denver.
He ended up at Denver, so I ain't watch him then either. My Fat Lever was in Denver.
Yeah, Utah is where you go to. I'm Donovan Mitchell. I want to get out of there.
Hey, Donovan gonna find it hard because, like you said, being a volume shooter like that, he's gonna end up in another small market. You know what I mean? If I'm Donovan Mitchell, I'm trying to team up with Ja Morant, somebody that's a star that will shoot it, but Ja would be just as happy getting 25 dimes.
Then I could see a place like Atlanta for Donovan Mitchell, where he's got to work with Trey, something like that.
I think they too little together.
Oh,
I think they'll get put in the torture chamber on defense.
I think Donovan about 6'4". He's trying to go to New York, but I don't think, like you said, I don't think that's going.
Yeah, I don't know why he would want to go there. Like, you need to go somewhere with a star already.
Yeah. He don't. I mean, yeah.
Because you've shown you can't do it by yourself. So why would you?
Right.
What? Overtopping? I mean, what y'all trying to tell me here?
A Julius Randle who don't want. Yeah. He got most improved player, then he don't play no more.
Man, so shoot, we can end here, DeHaven. We appreciate y'all for stopping through, pulling up, hollering at us, because you know us from sideline to baseline with MB and K. Lewis. DeHaven was in the building today, y'all. We are out of here. We'll holler. Peace.